The Forgotten Sons are definitely not forgotten. Kusida makes his debut, and Velveteen Dream creates his own American anthem right here, right now on NXT After Show.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Welcome, everybody, to the AfterBuzz After TV show. I'm Anissa Barr, and today this was a great episode. Jim and Evan are not here. They're both sick, unfortunately, but hopefully they get better soon than later, because we need them back next week, because next week is going to be a great show. But to my left, we have the woman all the way from Canada, but she's here every week. She has her own wrestling show here on AfterBuzz TV, Women's Wrestling Weekly. You can see her on Raw as the Canadian Assassin, Miss TK.
Oh, that was a nice little intro. What's up, y'all? Yeah, definitely shout out to Jim. He's sick, and Evan, he has some family issues. Not family issues, but definitely send him your love, tweet him all that good stuff. And yeah, I'm here. We're here. We doing the show.
Yeah, we are doing the show, and we're bumping up to Evan's music, as every single week we are. And this match we're gonna talk about is the Forgotten Sons versus Humberto, Danny Burch, and Oni. What are your thoughts on this match? What did you think of the Forgotten Sons? Because, you know, every single week we are watching these guys on NXT, proving that they are here. Do you think that they're having these guys because a lot of the tag teams we don't have a lot of tag team on NXT right now?
Well, first I'll shout out to Bosa. He said girls night. Girls night on NXT. But yeah, it's kind of one of those things where they're growing on me. When they first came on, it was like Forgotten Sons, like, oh, okay, there wasn't really anything too interesting. Mm-hmm. But now they're growing on me where they're not forgotten. It's like if you watch NXT, it's like, well, wait a minute, what happens to this team? So as far as tag teams, I think they're just still trying to figure out. I think they're either trying to figure out what to do with them, or they have an established storyline. Right. Like I'm noticing that on even SmackDown and Raw, they're setting things up. So it feels like they're probably either setting things up or they're just trying to figure something out that's either going to lead up to the pay-per-view or lead up to SummerSlam.
So with Forgotten Sons, do you still want to how why are they forgotten? Like
the backstory?
The backstory, because, you know, you mentioned it a few times.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the same with a lot of folks. Like, how did Velveteen Dream, like, it's almost like, do you get to watch Avengers?
No, I don't care.
Oh. Well then, but in a lot of the Marvel and DC movies, and I'm not like an expert, but all of them, they have like their origin stories. And as humans, we all have our origin stories as to, you know, where we are right now. So I think, because I'm a huge fan of, you know, storytelling in whatever medium, wrestling, stand-up comedy, whatever. Like if you find out what their origin story is and how they became this person or how they became this group, then I'm more invested because now you have all the little nuances. Mm-hmm. So definitely that, but, you know, NXT tends not to do that as much because they can even do that with Shayna too. She has a huge backstory. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, with Shayna, we kind of do, I mean, a lot of, you know, NXT fans know and WWE fans know how these women, you know, end up becoming together, even though they're not showing it on NXT. Right. We still know. But for me, I do have to agree. I do want to know where the Forgotten Sons, how do they become a group? Why do they look like 2.0 Beer Money from TNA back in the day? So for me, I thought this match overall was pretty cool, pretty solid. Everyone I thought was really great in this match. I hope that we don't continue to see these guys wrestle each other over and over again. We like to, you know, I would like to see new people. They, you know, did sign a lot of people, and a lot of people are
tried out too. Shout out to Ivelisse. She tried out. So hopefully she'll be back in NXT. But yeah, there's a lot of people who tried out, and I don't know. I'm really curious as what WWE is doing. Are they signing people because they don't want people to go to other promotions, or are they legitimately expanding? Like, are they going to have like how they have an NXT in UK? Are they going to have an NXT in Mexico, which is very viable? So I'm just kind of wondering what they're doing with all these signees, and hopefully they're not just, you know, putting them away in locker rooms. So we'll see.
Right. Well, the next match that we're going to talk about is pretty much Dominic and Mansoor. Those two guys. Haven't really know too much about these guys. I felt like they just threw them in in this week's show just to show their faces and to see, hey, these are some new guys.
Djokovic, I think this is close to it.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not gonna even try to attempt to say that.
Well,
name.
we've seen Dominic before.
Right.
Mansoor, I think he's relatively new. Correct me on the chat. I don't remember seeing him too often as of a couple months past. But I think that's what they do sometimes. They do things to kind of test the waters, or even to test the athlete to see if they're ready for this step.
Mm-hmm.
Because, obviously, Bianca, we see her maybe 2 to 3 times a month.
Right.
But she has an established storyline, and we've been seeing her consistently. So obviously she's ready for that. So I think they're just they test people to see if they have the wrestling skills and eventually the mic skills.
Right. And speaking of Bianca, we didn't really get to see much of the women wrestle tonight. Which is unfortunate because I would like to see women on NXT wrestling every single week. Even though because I don't want it to make I don't want to see NXT how Raw was 10 years ago, where they either don't show the women at all for a few weeks or they just show them once. And, we have Bianca, Mia Yim
going up
against each other. So do you think those two women, are we going to get another triple threat for the NXT Women's Championship?
I don't know. Well, shout out to Mia Yim. She was wearing a sweet Wu-Tang t-shirt, so I'm always about that. Or it may have been the Wakanda t-shirt because that's also been something. But I actually want these ladies to actually team up. I think that would be really interesting as far as I'm always big on either factions or either having somebody, because it's there's, I don't even know if the right word's normal, but there are people, everybody has a friend or everybody has somebody in their corner. So I think, it should mimic real life. So either they should pair up. I don't know. This is going to be interesting to see how it goes. A one-on-one would be awesome because we've seen them. I don't know. Have we seen them go against each other? Maybe
once? In a battle,
but
maybe in a battle royal.
Yeah, but not a lead up. So it'll be interesting how the storyline will be. It'll be interesting. Mm-hmm. But I'm hoping that once they're finished going against each other, that they'll actually partner up and take on Shayna.
Right.
Especially if Shayna and the crew is going to be in the locker room for a while, because they actually need some type of legitimate faction, not Aaliyah and Vanessa Bourne, even though they're cool, but they don't present a takeover.
They present a different audience.
Right.
Okay.
Mia Yim and Bianca Belair actually look like they can take on Shayna. They might not win, but they look like they would be legitimate competition.
Right. And then with that being said, hopefully we get some women, next week, because I still like to see more women.
Candice too. We haven't seen Candice in a couple weeks.
Well, she wrestled last week.
Okay. Was that here last week? Oh, I wasn't here last week.
No, her and Casey tag team.
Okay.
But Deonna Purrazzo, I want to see her. Lacey Evans, I want to see her.
Well, Lacey Evans is in SmackDown. Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. The other Lacey.
The other Lacey.
I was like, Lacey Evans is Raw.
Yeah.
Not Candice. Deonna, have we seen her? I think we only saw her once on NXT or something like that.
But she's doing house shows, unless she was injured. But even Dakota Kai, she's still injured, I believe.
But she was on UK though before she got injured.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Tegan Knox.
Oh yeah, there's
so
many. Yeah.
And then the blonde one from, I think she's from Spain. She's Latina.
The Brazilian,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot her name too. But yeah, we saw her a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. And for the people who are probably going to comment and say, at least get these ladies' names right, you know what? They need to be on NXT for us to get their names right. Just my opinion. But so
Joseph's gonna shout the names. We'll wait for Joseph.
Okay, we'll wait for Joseph. But we have we don't have Johnny Gargano on TV, but we had a little backstage situation. I honestly thought he was gonna face another person from the Undisputed Era tonight. I wanted that to keep going. Him facing one after another, but we didn't get that. So we got him and Kylie O'Reilly. And do you think that will end up being the next match, or?
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like there's Velveteen already has a belt. Johnny has a belt. It just seems like there's nobody believable Viable, yes. Believable, no. As far as the next kind of step for him.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm with the other two, like SmackDown and Raw, a lot of the stuff makes sense, whether I agree with it or not. But with NXT, it seems like it's done a flip. It's like at one point NXT, a lot of the stories made sense, or you're interested in the stories, and now they've taken away some of the components, or some people are injured, and now NXT is just almost like floundering, like trying to figure out what storylines they're gonna do.
Right, because Ciampa is not around.
Yeah, he's injured.
So-
And that was a big part of maybe the last year and a half between him and Johnny.
Right.
So now he's gone. And then also shout out to John Quasto now, I think that's his name.
Apparently.
A former AfterBuzzer now at NXT. But yeah, now he's gone. It's like there's really
What do
nothing
we
from
do?
Johnny to do. So I'm interested to see who they're gonna have as far as a decent competition.
Do you think Johnny will keep the title until Ciampa comes back?
How long is Ciampa out for? Isn't
Maybe
Ciampa out for
maybe less than a year.
no.
You know,
No, I don't know. Who
Boza
else?
let us know.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna be out for a while. Like, wasn't it a neck thing or something like
Oh, I thought it was a leg.
that? It might have been like. We're both very off today.
Yeah, it's been a long day.
Yeah, I don't see him coming back in like. I don't see them having Johnny hold the belt until he comes back. Because the thing is, he comes back. There's ring rust. He still has to train. Like there's so many different factors, and I think that's why they're bringing people up. Like they're testing the waters because now they have to introduce talent. So we'll see with that.
Speaking of talent, Velveteen Dream. This guy is so fun and a character. He comes out, interrupts. I forgot his name. It's just been a long day, guys. It's a long day, and it's been hot. And so he comes out and
Dominic Dvorakis.
Yes,
That last part.
and he
Djokovic. I think that's pretty close. Okay.
So obviously he comes out after this guy's match. Sorry, we're flip flopping everywhere, but he starts singing his own anthem, the Star Spangled Banner, but his own version of it. I thought this was very creative. It sounded that the crowd was singing it until I realized, he had some people on stage with him. And I really enjoyed that he had all the lyrics on the back. I thought that was you could read and sing. I thought that was funny. Kind of felt like a very like karaoke night, but on a big stage. Tell me your thoughts on this.
I mean, I love his character. Like he, out of everybody, like Shayna has it, but it's still kind of one dimensional. With Velveteen Dream, it's like. If you don't like his wrestling, you can like the stuff that he puts on. And if you don't like the stuff he puts on, he has great mic skills. And if you don't like that, then just the outlandish outfits. Like he has so many different elements that you can love and hate, which is good because if you're lukewarm, then it doesn't matter. Then you're not gonna send negative tweets or send happy tweets. Like you just don't care. So with his whole persona and character, he just seems way more polished than everybody else in a good way.
Yeah, and I think it's because, one, if you saw him back in the day doing Tough Enough, he did say, I'm a fan of this business. Like, I've always been a fan. So he got that part. But also, when you get into the wrestling business, it's very, very different. It's not what you see.
Right.
And I think with Velveteen Dream, he didn't come from different promotions or the indies. They made him. And that's very rare, I should say, especially now that they make quote unquote stars out of their own facility. So with him, I think he really studied
the business
as much as he can, probably before he got to Tough Enough. And then when he got to Tough Enough, when he got to WWE and signed it, he probably reached out to certain people and was like, hey, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? And clearly he found out what he wanted to do, and this is who he is. And I'm very glad that this really suits him because he's so fun to watch. He has everything. And, I would like to see him become the NXT champion instead of the current champion he is.
Yeah. it just seems like the people who are possible as far as the possibility of being champions, there's just the pool is so small now. It's smaller now. So I don't know. We'll see what they'll do with him, and we'll see. I kind of feel like they're gonna bring him to the main roster a little bit prematurely. Like they'll bring it because he is ready, but they're not gonna have anything for him, which I've been saying for like weeks, which I'm kind of afraid of because I don't want him to lose this character or go to main roster and we just never see him.
Right.
But it's one of those things where he's just so good, and people who don't watch NXT or don't have the network should see this. Because the combination of, the Prince inspired outfits and all this other stuff is something to be seen, especially in wrestling. So we'll see.
Right. And
his rendition was interesting, by the way.
And it'll be great cosplay for many people.
Oh, yeah.
But as Velveteen Dream still sings on his Star Spangled Banner, TK, let everybody know how everyone can find us.
Oh, you can find us on everything at AfterBuzz TV on wrestling. Make sure you hit subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube. For iTunes, 5 stars or better, please. If you listen to us on other platforms, definitely leave your comments on AfterBuzz TV Wrestling, or you can hit us up on individually. We definitely want to know what you think and see and all that good stuff, because without you guys, we wouldn't be the ESPN of TV talk.
That's right. Give us 5 stars. Comment down below. Follow us. See what we're doing. We want to see what your thoughts on this episode, thoughts on the NXT brand itself. Even if you're new to the product, give us your thoughts. But
and we can give thoughts on TK's boudoir.
Yeah.
All right, it's so different now not seeing Jim get up and dance. Oh goodness. I mentioned it before, so definitely shout out to Mia Yim with that Wu-Tang shirt. And then Velveteen Dream with his outfit and his rendition overall was really good. So shout out to those two for sure.
Definitely. And I think, back to Velveteen Dream real quick, I think the people that were behind him singing were probably the students that go to Full Sail.
Oh, okay.
Because I go to Full Sail and they have all that cool stuff.
Well, shout out to the students at Full Sail.
Exactly.
Shout out to Barry Mack.
Shout out to Barry Mack, and buy Evan T. Mack's BMP t-shirts on ProWrestlingTees.com.
For sure.
And hopefully you get hopefully he creates a new t-shirt or something.
Yeah, I told him to create a Barry Mack t-shirt. So if you guys want to see a Barry Mack t-shirt, hit up Evan. I believe it's at Evan T. Mack on Twitter and Instagram. Let him know that you want a Barry Mack t-shirt, because I already gave him the idea, so he just needs to, push go on that one.
So everyone, well, not everyone, but a lot of people wanted to see Cassius Ono versus Kusida, and we got it. Everybody knows how I think about this match. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people know how I feel about Kusida. I want to know what you thought about this match, and what do you think of Kusida himself?
I mean, I think I like the psychology, and meaning the psychology is like when somebody decides to bring in a wrestler, what is their thought process like on them signing them? Like, what's the initial, okay, well, what are we going to do with this wrestler? So it's interesting to me. It's like, okay, well, what's the game plan? Like, are you going to do almost like a fast track merit where he's there for like 2 years and now he's going to make the play? So like, what's the long run? And obviously injuries and everything changes the plan. But I always want to be like a fly on the wall with the person who's thinking about signing this individual, what their game plan for them is. So that's kind of with him. Other than that, amazing performer,
right.
amazing wrestler, as most people would have known. So and then partnered up with Cassius Ono.
Do you think Cassius Ono was the right opponent for his debut match? Or would you want to see him wrestle somebody else on his debut match if you had that option to decide?
Cassius Ono just has so much. He's like a vet,
right?
So to make somebody else look good, it just, you want somebody who's very experienced.
So you're fine with Cassius Ono?
I'm fine with him, but part of me is like, it's his time. Like, I don't know, just NXT seems more of this is not ageism, but it just seems like more of a young man's game. And Cassius Ono looks like.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Move on.
Well, I thought this match was great. I hope we get to see more of him. I enjoyed Cassius Ono and him together in this match. You know, it was the right fit because, you know, these two guys are veterans. No matter, you know, if you despite where they are, they've been in the wrestling business for a very, very long time. So for these two guys going at it, it shows how much heart and dedication these guys both put in all these years.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope we get to see him again next week, but, you know, maybe a different opponent.
Right.
Maybe not,
yeah.
you know, maybe not a vet, maybe, you know.
Well, even like maybe Matt Riddle might be interesting, just the combination of the two. But Matt has to be very sound, else it'll just look very one-sided. And I know you mentioned it before we started the show, but Bosa in the chat, our GM for AfterBuzz Wrestling, he let us know that June 1st, NXT pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So... Oh, did you have it in the news? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Well, we're going to go.
Bosa puts it out there, so I just want to.
Well, we're going to actually talk about some news.
Okay.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So, as Joseph Bosa said in the chat, we did discuss it earlier before we continued the show. We watched a video where Kathy Kelly, you know, broke the story that there's going to be an NXT takeover June 1st. Mm-hmm. No details yet. Triple H is going to announce it on his Twitter. Do you think this is too soon for a takeover, or do you think that because SummerSlam is obviously
in August,
so and then we have June, so do you think that they want to add more takeovers, or instead of doing it on special occasions?
The special occasions were good, but it just depends on how many takeovers they do. Because I do remember when they were doing the pay-per-views and. When they were doing the pay-per-views where it was just Raw and SmackDown by themselves, I found it was too much. But apparently it was the same amount of pay-per-views. But I think just following all the storylines versus just having them all on one. Mm-hmm.
Or how about this? Because I think what they're doing is with the main roster, how they do have a pay-per-view every single month. Mm-hmm. They probably want an NXT
pay-per-view every single month. Oh gosh, wow.
They're, you know,
too much.
Money in the Bank coming up. But with TakeOver, they probably want
more
takeovers instead of waiting so many months to not engage, but to create a storyline and have people invested. Because if you create a storyline now and you have it until SummerSlam, how long do you think people are going to be invested in that match when TakeOver comes around? If I'm making any sense.
Well, here's the thing. What happens with the pay-per-views for the main roster is that some of the pay-per-views get watered down. There's certain pay-per-views that you look forward to. There's certain pay-per-views that if you miss them, you miss them.
Right.
And with TakeOver, if they increase takeovers, it's going to be the same thing. And instead of TakeOver being that high quality, like I've heard plenty of people, whether they're like novice or people who've been watching wrestling forever, they've always said that TakeOver is just a better quality product as far as wrestling, right. You know, the day before, you know, SummerSlam or WrestleMania, etc. So I'm just worried that it might dilute the product, and now it just becomes one of that, like, okay, well, if you miss it, you miss it. Right. Versus, no, you have to see TakeOver.
So do you think that's why they're making more takeovers? So
that's probably a money grab.
More audience can watch.
Well,
that
yes.
Don't really watch NXT.
Well, it's a pay-per-view,
right?
So you're gonna have to pay for it. So it's gonna be the same amount of people that watch other pay-per-views. Right. So it's just more. I believe there's commercials that they share during the pay-per-views on the platform. I believe so. Right, so it's just more marketing. It's more money. Right. So either way, the people, I don't see anybody purchasing the network for a particular takeover. However, the people who are on the network, now you get eyeballs on this pay-per-view and those commercials. So money-wise, it just works out for WWE.
Okay, so it's more of a money thing, you think?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay. I just thought it, as a fan, you know, obviously I think of it, hey, not a lot of people are watching NXT. Let's try to do more takeovers because that brings a lot of people in.
Do you think that people are watching NXT now with the quality of wrestling on SmackDown and Raw?
I feel like a lot of people are still not watching NXT.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, come on. I didn't even watch Raw or SmackDown because I couldn't handle I just couldn't do it.
Well, that's the thing. It's not for you.
No, it's for I've been watching Raw ever since I was.
Well, no,
but
I understand what you're saying, but it's not for the like if you're a wrestling fan and you get frustrated with Raw or SmackDown. If you're a wrestling fan, then you most likely have the network.
Right.
If you're a WWE fan.
Right.
So that you could pick and choose what you want because now there's more content.
Right.
Opposed to somebody who's a sometimes fan, they might not watch Raw because it's like a soap opera. Like, you know, some of the characters change, but it's pretty much the same as far as storylines because those storylines you could apply to anything, movies, music videos, there's the storyline's very generic in a good way. So if you're not a super fan, then, you know, you might dabble in Raw or SmackDown. So that product's not necessarily made for the wrestling fan.
Right.
It's made for the mass media. That's why they have Ronda. That's why they did the Fox deal. That's why certain things, they have the picture-in-picture while the commercials are going because they want to sell the commercials. It's a money thing.
Right.
So it's not for NXT. I don't think they're going to add any more eyeballs, but money-wise, it is a quality product. So they know that there's this amount of people that watch. So let's say 6.8 million watch NXT Takeover, right? They figure it'll probably drop down to 4.5, but it's 4.5 million eyeballs that are watching Takeover that are going to watch the commercials. So it's not for the NXT is for the wrestling fan because they know that they're going to watch it regardless.
Right. Like us.
Yeah, pretty much.
I just couldn't watch Raw this week. I don't know what it was, but it was just maybe because, you know, I don't know. I wasn't really feeling.
I think it's improving
this week. I don't know. I wasn't really feeling the Bray thing.
I actually like the Bray thing.
I'm not feeling it yet. I feel like he's, you know, it's more of a Mr. Rogers mixed with Blue's Clues type of thing.
But that's why it's different. And that's why actually I'm just feeling the fact that they're actually doing something because it felt like all last year, the storylines in particular for Raw was just like, what's going on? Now it just seems like you don't know what the direction is, which I love because I can't predict. However, it's interesting enough because you want to see where they're going to go.
Well, I mean, obviously, I'll watch next week. But,
yeah.
Moving on to more news breaking before, not really much breaking, but, you know, it was posted on social media that Beth Phoenix is the new commentator for NXT.
Taking over for Percy Watson. I wonder what happened. He actually went to Oregon, so shout out to Oregon Ducks. Yeah, I don't know if he's...
Maybe he's doing producer stuff. Maybe he got maybe a raise or something, but I find it's interesting do you think the reason why they're doing this because they have Renee on Raw? Are we going to get a woman to do SmackDown commentary and take Graves out since he's doing both shows? I mean, we really don't need Graves on both shows, but in my opinion. But
well, yeah, it depends on where Percy is. It depends if Percy got fired. It depends on, you know, if he's moving over to, I don't know, some other new brand or something different, or they just might not be feeling him. It just kind of depends with that. And they were planning on getting rid of him anyway, and she, you know, she has been doing commentating and she might have shown interest, and therefore, so there's just so many different factors. Obviously, she's a legend in the game, and obviously she curries favor with WWE because you see her on different, you know, we saw her Mae Young. So you the people you see come back no matter what, you can tell that they're, you know, in that zeitgeist. So we'll see. I definitely think with all brands they cater to what is happening, and what is happening now is women, and what is happening now is minorities, and I definitely see them doing that. So it would behoove them to do that. I don't know if they did that for that specific purpose, however.
Yeah, well, I mean, congratulations to Beth Phoenix and her family. Obviously, she's married to Edge, so that's going to be a interesting move if that's their deal. Hopefully, Edge gets a contract with WWE.
Doesn't he have a show on the network though, or something like that? Or did he have a show?
I think he's like guest starred on a lot of shows, unless he does a show. But I mean, it'd be really nice to have them to assign Edge and maybe be a coach, even though he can't do the things he did. But you know, him to be a coach, especially people that wrestle like him, or because he really paved the way for a lot of his size as well. So
yeah. Well, if they're feeling him, they'll find him a job.
Oh, of
WWE
course.
is good with that, and they're not feeling him, then you just wait.
Well, any more thoughts on this episode before we pretty much dip?
Yeah, like I said, it's one of those things where it feels like it's a complete flip, where I am enjoying Raw now. I'm enjoying SmackDown now, and NXT is not so much. So I'm hoping. I mean, I hope it's not. I hope that not to flip the other way. I hope that all three brands, and maybe that's something impossible to do. Like you can't, if you're juggling, all balls can't be up in the air at once. That sounds weird, but oh, okay. Bosa, thank you, Bosa. Edge and Christian wrapped season 2 of their show on the network. That's what I thought.
Oh, I thought you meant like a TV show on USA Network.
Oh, no. And Edge has a Legends deal with WWE. That's I figured. Yeah, with the Legends deal though, you can like show up. You can show up like once a year. Like I mean, Sean shows up randomly.
I was listening to a podcast. And they said that Stone Cold Steve Austin has a Legends contract.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, all these Legends, their contracts are different. I mean, the Bella Twins have a Legend contract. So, it's all different. So, that pretty much wraps up our episode here on NXT. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Everybody in the chat, as always. TK, let everybody follow you, your products, Women's Wrestling Weekly.
You can find me on everything at TK Trinidad. We had an amazing show. Evilise, I absolutely love her. She's one of my favorites. And
was she in studio?
She wasn't in studio. If you saw last year, I think exactly this time she was on the show. Really emotional show. So if you go back and watch that, it's amazing. But if you watch today's show, she talks about a little bit about her tryout. She talks about the Lucha contract, which was drama, and then beef with Tessa. Well, not her beef, but there's internet beef that was happening between her and Tessa, so she talks about that. Lots of tea that she was spilling, so I absolutely love her, so definitely check out that interview as well. If you like skin products, candles, all that good stuff, you can check out centerin.co to get all those products on social media, all that stuff. We got the website set up in about a week. And then VH1, Rap TV, Hip Hop Streets, a lot of different stuff you can see me writing and announcing and blah blah blah.
Well, guys, I'm very, very excited because a lot of people DM'd me yesterday. Jon Moxley has returned, ladies and gentlemen, and oh my god, I've gotten so many DMs, people tweeting at me. It was the best feeling. Saw the promo. He does make in the promo, he's pretty much breaking out of prison, which is everyone thinks WWE. There's dice that says 2 and 5. AEW Double or Nothing is on the 25th. There's a dog of the Hounds of Justice. It shows one dog, so it looks like a lot of people. It could be either meaning about Seth wanted him to stay or Roman wanted him to stay. Breaking out, blood. Obviously, he's a deathmatch wrestler, so I was like crying of joy. So Jon Moxley's back. I'm happy. I'm gonna be going to Double or Nothing, and I'm gonna be going to Barr Wrestling next week because David Arquette is wrestling, and I'm so excited because I always want to see David Arquette wrestling. And
amazing.
He's great, good people. And you can follow me on all social media platforms at Anissa Barr, and you'll see me in an hour because you gotta watch Ms. and Mrs. because I'll be on and Leslie will be on. But next week we'll have the whole crew, hopefully, and we'll see you all next week.
Ciao.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.